Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, fan-sided daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing well, Randy Cruz. How about yourself, brother?
I'm doing good, man. We're taping this on Friday morning, June 7th, 2024. You can find Graham on Twitter at WrestleRant. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter JCRUZ. You find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. And if you're watching this live right now on Twitter and YouTube, go to youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Really appreciate your love and support. We're live. Questions, feedback, send it our way. So, Graham Matthews, right off the gate, my guy Noob. Good morning, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Good morning, noob.
Top of the morning. Top of the morning.
Top of the morning.
So Graham, I saw the first episode of Who Killed WCW. It's on Vice. I think they're doing 4 episodes, I think.
Yes.
So I saw number 1. You told me off the air you did not see episode 1, but you kind of seen through social media what episode 1 was pretty much all about. You want to start off, or me give you like the synopsis of what happened in episode 1?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start off by saying this. I haven't seen it yet. I do plan to watch it. I know a lot of people that are not planning on watching it because I think the bottom line is this. They have done a million fucking different documentaries on the collapse of WCW, what went wrong there. The name of the documentary, the docu-series, is called Who Killed WCW. I think that's pretty apparent by this point. I mean, it's no real mystery. Books have kind of done research on, and I always go back to, I think, R.D. Evans. I might be wrong on the name there. I know that's the name of a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the same individual, but him and Brian Alvarez actually did a book on the fall of WCW or whatever it was called. I read it once as someone loaned it to me about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Great book. I ended up getting it gifted to me as an actual gift a couple of years ago. Haven't read it for the second time in full yet, but it's a great book, and it really goes into great detail as far as what went wrong there with WCW. WWE themselves have done a lot of different DVDs, that Monday Night War show a number of years ago, and a lot of it is the same shit. And a lot of it has the WWE spin on it. Now, this is not a
Correct.
WWE documentary. This is a Vice documentary.
Mhm.
The Rock is involved, though. The Rock is currently involved with WWE, obviously, at a higher position. Don't know if that's going to have anything to do with it. So, again, like I said, I haven't seen it yet. I can only imagine that no real information, no new information was given as far as stuff that we didn't already know. I do plan on watching it. They obviously got a lot of talking heads for it. I'm looking forward to checking it out, but I can't imagine you're going to learn anything new in the way of WCW and stuff like that.
Again, we are doing this live, so anybody got a question, comment, feedback on Twitter or on YouTube, go ahead and send it your way. We'll talk about it on the air. So I did see episode 1. Obviously, I come from a different age range than you, so I saw this in actual real time. But in real time, you're looking at it, but not looking at it like, man, who was killing WCW right now? You're seeing it decline, and you see, World Wrestling Federation getting their shit together. They're on top of the world. They turn the tide, and it's like, oh, I'd rather watch Raw and SmackDown than Nitro and Thunder. But episode 1, you're gonna see Bischoff. You're gonna see bits of Kevin Sullivan, Kevin Nash, Brad Siegel. So now you're getting information from like top executives. And again, like you said, this is not a WWE documentary. This is a WCW or Vice outlet. So you're probably gonna hear different stories that either you haven't heard of in a while or ever from different sorts of people who are really in it.
Okay.
So of course you might get a spin of like, all right, we killed them and we beat them in their ratings. We know about 83 weeks because Bischoff does his own podcast, 83 weeks. You'll see Rock, talk about it. DDP's in it. Brett, small portions of Brett, but I think you are going to see more of Brett in the later episodes. But watching in real time, and again, I'm trying to just, they stopped at, I think they stopped at Starrcade 97, which Sting and Hogan. And yeah, so to pinpoint one person or one thing to say, oh, this person or this entity killed this corporation. I think that's impossible. I think everybody has their own DNA to combine and say, oh man, we all had it. We all played a part.
Mm-hmm.
The one person I don't see talking in episode 1 is Hulk Hogan, and I think he's a vital piece to this whole thing. As you'll see later on, I think I did see Booker T, but they go from the beginning how it started. We know the story. Getting Hogan in '94, trying to compete with McMahon. Ted Turner wanted to be in the wrestling business and want to compete with Vince McMahon at the proper time where McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation was kind of like they were dipping. I keep it a buck. They were dipping
Yeah.
in that golden era with Hogan, Warrior, Savage, all that, and now you're trying to find the new stars, and now you get Nitro and those guys involved, and it's like, how do we compete? And they didn't really get into a point where this person did this or that person did that. They just start showing little chinks in the armor. And I think the first chink was the Starrcade 97 debacle.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Bischoff was talking about. He said that's going to be the biggest regret of my life until it's over for me, because you build this thing out a year ahead of time before Rock and Cena did it in 2012, and a year-long storyline, and it was the hottest thing going. You got the NWO, is Hogan, Sting ain't wrestled the whole year, and you get to game time, and you talk about how the player control card of Hogan and his character, like, nah, I'm not gonna lose the belt tonight.
Yeah.
Sting is not in the right frame of mind. Not tonight. So now your whole changing of the finish is now in jeopardy because Hogan wants to play that card, and people could say that's fucked up or it's rightfully so, but Hogan's a businessman. When it's all said and done, he's a smart man. I know he did some fucked up shit later on, but at that point in time, biggest main event in that company history, and that's the finish you get, and that's where it left off. Like, damn, and it got me thinking, like, that was the first domino that said, "Hey, man, they're on top, but they can't get too comfortable right now."
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything before that though. Like, it's all. I mean, you can make the same argument about when the Attitude Era started. As far as, like, we've discussed this many times before,
Yeah.
but like, what was the exact event that you would kind of date back the Attitude Era to, as far as what really started it? You could say the Montreal screw job, but you can go even further back than that to the Bret Hart heel turn, some of the stuff they were doing in '96 with Bret Hart and Stone Cold in late '96, the curtain call in mid '96. So it's kind of one of those things. I don't know if WCW is more clear cut in that sense. You mentioned the Starrcade finish from '97. I'm trying to think. Again, I didn't grow up on WCW. I'm just going off of what I know and remember. I'm trying to think if there were other, like, the writing was on the wall even before that, but the success would be short-lived. Like, the NWO was at their peak at that point, 96, 97. I don't know if they were doing anything. I'm sure there were dumb booking decisions being made at that point.
Yeah.
Like, they really focused everything around the NWO. Like, the the Goldberg stuff wasn't until 98. So maybe it was. Maybe Starrcade was like the first domino to fall, as you said, in the collapse of WCW, so to speak. I'd have to go back and kind of really think about it, but
Yeah.
I guess that would be a nice place to stop for episode 2. But yeah, it was interesting because as the episode aired on Tuesday, like I said, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to be watching it later. It aired on Tuesday. I saw almost nobody talking about it on Wednesday, like whatsoever, at least on my timeline, which was really surprising because I guess that's kind of the case with the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries too. I guess, I don't know, it airs so late at night, and it's not like it's I don't know. It's one of those things. So I didn't see a whole lot of people talking about it. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to be checking it out. I'm curious what the ratings are for these things, and if they intend to do more of it going forward. It's not exactly different. Like, I wouldn't want to see another 4-part docuseries on the fucking Montreal screw job, for example, because we've heard so much about it. But, from what you said, I am intrigued to check it out and looking forward to hearing what they say.
And I think, to your point, the reason why we may not have seen the traction on social, because we kind of seen these stories before. We've seen
No,
it, we
that's
heard it,
exactly it. Yeah,
and it's like, all right, I get it. You started in the Mid South, then you go into the Disney studio, then you see Hogan, then you get him, and then they weren't really fucking with the red and yellow. Then it's like, all right, now we got to turn them. Who's the third man? Like, so we know the NWO story front and back.
correct.
I think it'll be cool to hear Kevin Nash more about it and like his spin on it, because we've heard Bischoff, we've heard Hogan, we've heard all the writers, and like, all right, let me hear from Kevin Nash, let me hear from Brad Siegel, let me hear from people like that. But I again, in real, you mentioned NWO, and again, I'm watching in real time as a kid, and I thought it was cool seeing like 20 people in the ring, NWO. Then like as you get older and you realize like, damn, like Disco Inferno, Conan, and NWO,
Yeah,
and like whoa, like time up. There's like everybody's in NWO. Every match was an NWO member, and then it was like they had their own fucking pay-per-view, which again I thought it was cool. Sold out, like, oh, NWO, but it's like they win every match.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
how they're getting heat. That was the thing. They were the cool bad guys, and that was the time frame we grew up in. Like, it's the anti-hero. That's why Stone Cold became popular. He was the anti your boss and this and that. So again, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, it's cool what you're watching, but now you grow up, then did that really play a part of like why it got watered down? It got to be like, all right, come on, man. And now we're doing too much. If you kept NWO at Hogan, Hall, Nash, it was the Giant that came next.
X-Pac was there at
Then
some point.
X-Pac and DiBiase. That was like your top six right there.
Yeah, I think
And then,
DiBiase was next because I think Six-Pac was Six-Pac because he was the
yeah,
sixth member, right?
yeah,
If I remember that correctly. So
yeah,
yeah, no, I feel like that would have been prime
yeah.
NWO for sure.
And then Macho came along, which I that's smart. I do get that part. I fuck with Macho, but it's like
The Virgil and
then it was him. Then oh my god, it was Norton, and it was the Beefcake, and it was like
he had Bagwell in there, a bunch of
Buck
other people.
Bagwell was like, yo, the whole roster is NWO, and I'm like,
Half
it's
the
cool.
roster, pretty much. Yeah, it was. It's
Um,
definitely ridiculous looking back on, which makes it more impressive to look at stables of today, specifically the Bloodline, how they've managed to remain relevant and remain interesting largely, not every single stage of the group, but remain relevant and interesting for 4 fucking years. Like, that's crazy. So think about that from NWO forming 4 years ago. I'm sorry, in 96. 4
yeah,
years later in 2000, what did the NWO even look like? I mean, that was the tail end. I mean, they had gone in so many different iterations. The company closed less than a year later. 4 years of NWO is just, it was hot garbage by that point, obviously.
bro, Greg, I tell you this, I remember little things. So like when they changed the logo for WCW to whatever that was, I was like, the fuck is that? And like, like that just annoyed me. Like, damn, I know the Nitro logo with the steps, steel steps. Like, oh, that's my shit. Like, and then Thunder comes along, and it's like you're doing great on Nitro on Mondays, and you're bringing this Thursday show for Thunder before SmackDown. Let's keep it a buck. Before SmackDown, they had 2 shows. Then it's like, who's gonna man that show? What kind of talent are you gonna show on Thunder? Not just Hogan on Nitro and Hogan on Thunder. Like, you got to build the Jerichos and Eddie Guerreros and Benoits and stuff. Like, that's where it's supposed to be at. But then when you're mixing both shows with the same older veterans, Hall, Nash, Ric Flair, Sting, it's like, all right, who are we building? And I think that was a detriment too. They weren't building anybody new. While on the other channel, Stone Cold, The Rock, Taker, Hunter, Mankind, Kane, anybody else you could think of is like, oh, now we got some top stars. So I want to see where they go for the next 3 shows. Like, I want to hear Brett, because Brett don't fuck.
Yeah.
Brett got no filter. He hates Bischoff, and I get it, because Graham, again, when you're watching in real time, this is the biggest free agent in the world of pro wrestling, coming off the screw job. He's hot, is white hot. And then you bring him in so regular. Oh, here's a special referee, a special whatever enforcer for Starrcade or something. And he just comes down and he gets a big pop. But that's not how you would debut Bret Hart in a different company as a referee.
No.
or something like that. Like that was the part that didn't make sense to me.
No, yeah, just between that and everything else. I mean, that was, like you said, I feel like that was the first major domino to probably fall at that point, especially the Bret Hart thing. I mean, the match itself sucked and the execution of a year-long build and everything else,
Mm.
but I'm sure they will get into that. But the Bret Hart involvement in the main event where they brought him in just to do really nothing. I mean, not even that. And obviously, I like I said, haven't seen the documentary yet, but
Mm.
the one of the things I did see about it on Twitter in the days that followed was that quote from Bret Hart about like his thoughts on WCW or how they used them or whatever. He's like, they can go fucking, fuck themselves or whatever he
Yeah.
said. Um, he felt that way then. He feels that way now. I mean, he was coming off one of the most talked about, not even angles, because it wasn't really an angle, but the events in the Montreal screw job, and they bring him in within a matter of months, literally the following month, because
Mm.
they could, because his contract expired, and he was a fucking referee and didn't do shit. I mean, obviously he had the injury, and that kind of shortened his career a little bit, but even prior to that point, it wasn't like he was ever truly the same that he was in WWE. So
Yeah.
that Starcade thing, a lot of things can just be tied back to that as far as where the demise of WCW really started to crumble.
Mm. Bro, that's like you in having a top draft pick in the NBA, top 10 pick, you draft him, and then like, I ain't gonna play him.
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna sit
didn't
down.
they didn't use him. When was his first match? A couple months later? Like it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't. I wasn't watching, so I
Bro,
don't know.
that is a great question because I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head when was Bret Hart's first match. Wow, it's got to be 98 because
Oh yeah, no, it was. I mean, he didn't wrestle. He arrived in December of '97, so it wasn't '97. But like the fact that you can't remember just goes to show you that it wasn't built up as big enough of a deal as much of it should have for Bret Hart's first match. Like, oh, like we're gonna save it for this big pay-per-view. Like, you can remember a lot of people's first matches, their debut match in whatever promotion they jumped to. You can't remember his because it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm
all
sure.
I see is Bret Hart debuted in WCW December 15th, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about over a month and a little over a month from Montreal. And you had a month to figure things out, how to portray him, what to do, what his role was going to be, first match, first rivalry, and it's the Starcade debacle, helping Sting with the count. And bro, I'm trying to find right now live when was his first fucking match in the company, and I cannot. Like it's like it won't tell me.
Yeah, let me try to find it myself. I'm curious now because I've never really looked this up because I don't know. It's not really something I thought about. Let me see. WCW Bret Hart.
They tell me his last match because it was Goldberg, but I want to know the first match.
Yeah. Um, I guess technically his last match, actually, according to this website, was against Kevin Nash. It was a draw on Nitro,
Mhm.
January 10th, 2000. His first match was January 20th. Wow, holy shit. Okay, this is kind of a big deal. I'm surprised
Okay.
that this isn't remembered more. But he faced sold out 98, January 24th, 98, Ric Flair. That was his first match in the company. How is that not like, is that not a big deal? I mean, that's obviously a big deal.
So it took him
It
a
took him a
month
month to wrestle, but like, why
to
isn't
wrestle.
like the fact, like I said, the fact that you can't remember and I didn't know that, it's not like, oh, he came in. I know his first major appearance for the company was around Starcade. I know that.
Yeah,
But like, was his first match not portrayed as a big deal? It happened on pay per view, happened against Ric Flair only a month later. Why does no one really? Maybe more people know that than us, I guess. But like, why is that not talked about more? I guess is my question.
bro.
Was it not a good match? I
I
don't know.
I don't recall that match at all. I don't know who won, who was the bad guy, good guy, what was the story. Because when you put Bret Hart and Ric Flair in the same ring, you think you're gonna get um a top match. Like obviously we're going back to '92 when Bret won the belt, but
Exactly.
this is 6 years later removed from that. And again, it's that sold out. NWO sold out. Bro, I don't remember Bret Hart's run in the company like that to give you, part of what I hear What I do know, he fought Sting and he fought Benoit. And I think that was the tribute to Owen Hart. And
Okay.
those were probably his best matches they had. And plus, he was part of NWO 2000. I'm like, why is Brett in the fucking NWO
Yeah.
with Jeff Jarrett
Yeah.
and Kevin Nash? Like, what is yo? That shit would. But I want to see Brett talk about that, like, because obviously we seen him do these overseas sit downs and stuff like that. But I want to see him really get into the crux of what it really was about. Why they didn't elevate him more than what they did.
Yeah, or spotlight him. He was probably like looking at his matches here. He didn't lose a match by pinfall, a singles match until Nitro when he lost to Lex Luger. He lost the United States Championship to Luger that August. So he went undefeated for a while, at least in singles competition on TV.
Yeah,
so
but
they obviously booked him well enough.
Who did he beat for the title? I don't know.
It says he beat
Wasn't Flair?
Beat DDP by knockout on Nitro a month earlier.
By knockout.
Not even like 2 weeks earlier. He had a 2-week run as United States champion. He beat DDP.
Bret Hart was U.S. champion for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Wow.
And then, wait, hold on. Okay, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is WCW, I guess. So he beats DDP for the championship on July 20th, 98 on Nitro. Loses it to Luger 2 weeks later on August 10th, Nitro. Gets it back from Luger on Thunder 3 days later.
That's right.
What is going on here?
Because Bret had a rematch clause in his contract to say, you know what, I want my rematch right away on Thunder.
That is dumb. And then he won it again from Sting and lost it the next day to DDP. The fuck is this?
Did you know he was tag team champion with Goldberg?
That I've seen the picture of that. So yeah, he won the United States Championship a lot. Wow,
bro. I have no problem going back on the network and going to Nitro and go try to just refresh my memory and be, oh, let me check it out. Let me be fair, check it out, because I know at that time I was, bro, what they were doing over there with Tyson and Stone Cold and Shawn DX. I was like, the Nation, and I'm good over here, bro. I love Bret, all that, but what's going on over here? The remote was grand. The remote was flicking back and not even back and forth. It was just like, boom, I'm on Raw. I might go back, commercial, check out Nitro. If they got Hogan, and I'm going back.
It's the nature of the 90s. They didn't have social media back then, DVR. It was just straight up flipping the channels.
Yeah. The last point I would make before we move on is that I really want to. You probably know the story too. Remember Halloween Havoc 98?
With is that Goldberg and DDP or Goldberg and Savage?
DDP.
Okay.
So you know the story about the main event?
The one that went off the air?
Yeah.
Early? Yes.
Bro, I'm watching Halloween Havoc live.
Yeah.
And it's 11 o'clock. Pew! Like, the fuck just happened?
Were you one of those people? Or no, they didn't give you your money back, right? They just put the match on for free again on Nitro the next night. Wasn't that what it was?
Well, Graham, they didn't give me money back because back in the day you have like the illegal box. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's what they did. So they knew about it. They had to replay the the whole match on Nitro, and also whoever paid got their money back. So if you got like 500,000 people who paid for the show, all got the money back.
Yeah.
So just like stuff like that is like, again, that wasn't the downfall, but it was part of like, yo, what are we doing? What's going on? We got to
mismanagement.
Yeah. So I want to see about that. Hopefully someone mentions about Tyson coming in, because that was a big factor too. Like we're in trouble. Like McMahon is figuring shit out. They brought in Tyson. What are we gonna do?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Well, I hope it's more focused on the WCW stuff though, because I feel like you're right. Mike Tyson I don't want them to talk about Tyson directly. I would only want them to talk about that and like, all right, how did we respond to it? Like you said, I don't really
Mhm.
want them to go into like what WWE was doing because again, we've heard about that. The whole thing we've heard about a million fucking times, but
Yeah,
it's not about WWE. It's not about the Attitude Era. It's not about the Monday Night War. It's about who
yeah.
killed WCW, what WCW was doing wrong. So you can talk about it in reference to how they responded to it or how they didn't respond to it, but that
Mhm.
to me should be the extent of it.
Yeah. So every Tuesday for the next 3 weeks, they'll show an episode 4 in total. I'm gonna try to get Guy Evans and Neil Pruitt on the show at some point in time to talk about it. Probably when it's all over. Give their taking their spin on it. I know they're involved too. They're in the documentary as well.
Okay,
So
so that's who I think I meant to say. I said Artie Evans earlier. I think that's the name of a wrestler. I
oh,
think I meant to
Guy
say
Evans.
Guy Evans. Guy Evans
Guy
was
Evans.
the one that was the one that wrote the book with Alfred.
Yeah. And Neil Pruitt is the voice of the NWO, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
the one that you interviewed years ago, right?
Yeah, on Skype. But now I'm gonna try to do it, see the visuals, the face, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully
I remember
when
that.
it
It's a throwback.
yeah, that was tough. That was I'm like, oh wait, NWO guy, really?
That's cool. Yeah, that's crazy.
Um, so we got Clash of the Castle next Saturday, and the card as of now is only 3 matches. I'm pretty sure they might get 2 more coming up. So as of now, Priest and McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship, Bailey and Piper Niven for the Women's Championship, and Sami Zayn, Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. And Chad Gable is a very important name because you're telling me as of today, the contract is up or we're near that point.
I thought it was up today, but the reports that I had seen earlier today from Fightful had indicated that AEW can't talk to them until his contract expires. Well, I thought his contract was up today, so I guess
Mhm.
it's not today. It must be either
Okay.
tomorrow or the next couple of days. I know it's up before Clash of the Castle, which is interesting because on Monday's Raw, they kind of already confirmed that it's going to be Sammy and Chad again for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I don't know if they put a graphic up because I don't know if they can, if they don't know for a fact that Gable is staying. I am 95% certain that Gable's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
I would hope they wouldn't have done the angle on Raw that they did. If they didn't think he was staying, it'd be pretty shitty if they did that and then he just up and left. He probably needs reassurances that he's going to be paid well, compensated well, push, stuff like that, time off, whatever with family. But yeah, his contract is up. It should be up
Mhm.
either today, tomorrow, in the next couple of days, reportedly. And that's an interesting situation to follow because there's a lot of contracts up right now. And I'm sure AEW, for as bloated as the roster is, they would definitely want Gable on board.
So I would assume if you were a betting man that you would put all your money on Chad Gable winning the IC title at Clash.
I wouldn't actually. I thought that originally, but based on the way that angle ended on Raw, they did not do the Otis turn on Raw this week. They could do it
Mm.
on Raw this coming week, but I think the way that they executed it was because they did that in a way where Otis will be the one to cost Gable the championship. I
Mhm.
want Gable to win the belt. He's had enough title shots in the last 9 months to where
Yeah.
he probably should get the championship at this point, but they are not going. It doesn't look like they're going in that direction. It looks like Otis might finally do the split from Gable, play a factor in him losing the match, and then they'll go on to do Gable and Otis. I don't know who you have Sami Zayn feud with from there. Raw is a pretty deep roster, so there's a whole bunch of options. That could be Braun Breaker for all we know. I would prefer for it to be Gable winning the championship, but I think
Mhm.
at this current point, as we speak right now, I think it'll be Sami Zayn retaining.
If I'm wrong, tell me. Did I see something recently where Kurt Angle said something again? If I'm wrong, tell me. But either he said something or it was suggested that Kurt Angle would be like Chad Gable's manager or mouthpiece or something like that. Like, could they kind of resemble each other? Um, am I in the right ballpark about that?
He may have said that. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like if they were going to put the two together, they could have done that 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't. They didn't. I don't think they will. But I think it'd be a great pairing, though, just because Gable's so much alike Kurt. I mean, they had the opportunity to make Gable as far as dumb as the story was, the illegitimate son of Kurt Angle 7 years ago when they did that whole thing with Jason Jordan, and they went with
Yeah,
him instead of Gable, which made no sense.
yeah.
So if they're going to do a dumb angle like that, they could have very well just made it Gable. They didn't. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be cool. They've interacted on TV enough to where making them a pairing would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, 5 years ago, was Chad Gable a bad guy or a good guy?
I mean, he was a good guy, but he's also been a heel at various points in the past 5 years. He's been a tag team guy. This is the most aggressive push he's ever gotten on his own in WWE, yes. But you got to remember, too, 5 years ago, Angle was 5 years younger. He's had a lot of surgery since then. He probably doesn't want to be on the road anymore.
Yeah.
WWE hasn't used him as a regular on-air character since then. He's just older, Angle is. I don't even know if he would be great in that role at this point. I would just selfishly want to see it because I think it would make sense. But I feel like it might have been better 4 or 5 years ago than it would be in 2024. But, I could be wrong. I mean, they could give it a shot, and I wouldn't be mad about it. I think it would just make more sense, honestly, if Gable's the focal point, not Kurt, and it's Gable leading his own group with the Creeds as opposed to latching on to Kurt. I feel like at this point, that's the new direction to go in.
I would bet that Chad Gable wins the IC title against Sami Zayn. I think we both wanted Gable to be the guy to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. I think I like Sammy, but does he need the IC title? No. I think Gable would do wonders with the IC title with him being a heel. I would love that. Sidebar, because I love sidebars. Where do you have Kurt Angle on your all-time list, man?
Like WWE all time, or
yeah.
We did a list a couple months back for Bleacher, top 50 WWE wrestlers, superstars, whatever you want to call it, of all time.
Don't get me started with that one.
Well, I partook in that. The overall list was obviously the average of everyone's, but it would take me about a couple minutes to look it up, but I don't know where I had him. I think I had him 10. It was probably in the top 10. To me, he's easily top 15, if not. He's definitely top 10 to me.
Okay,
if not right below that.
So he's in your top 10.
Yeah, the overall list, I don't know, because we had so many people partaking in it, so it kind of took the average, and it was weird, but yeah, probably top 10.
I would have Kurt. Oh man, I would have. He's definitely top 20, but I want to see where in the 20. Like, is he top 15?
I think I had him top 15. I don't know if I had him even 10. He was there for 6 years. He had a great run, amazing matches, a lot of accolades. So it's hard to not kind of put him towards the top.
That was
maybe
it.
Even
6
over
years.
Brock. He came in 7 years, I guess. He came in 99 and left in 06.
I thought he came in 98, bro. Am I bugging? Like late 98.
It was Survivor Series 99. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So he barely made the millennium there.
So 7 years for Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and then he wrestled for TNA even longer than that.
Yo, I thought it was longer than that.
Feels longer than that because he did a lot on that time. Yeah.
Wow. I would say top. He's in the 15.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see where in the 15 though, because you asked me top 5. It's never gonna change. Stone Cold, Shawn, Bret, Rock, and Warrior. Warrior was the first guy I saw that maybe be a fan, so he ain't going nowhere. He ain't the best wrestler. I know that.
I think he might have been like 40 on our list.
But see, they're going by in ring. I'm assuming. Which I agree.
In-ring, draw, accolades. He was on my list. He wasn't top 10.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put him in the top 10, but I can understand why you would.
But then after that, you get into your Triple H, you get into your Undertaker, you get into your Macho Man. It's like
Cena, obviously.
Is Cena my top?
Cena's got to be top 10. If he's not,
hold on, because all
okay.
right, I'm at like 8, 9. I got Randy Orton up there.
Cena's bigger than Orton, though.
Let's see. What's the criteria when you get Randy Orton, John Cena? What's your criteria? In the ring, it's Randy Orton, but like the aura is John Cena. I do get that.
In the ring, yeah, but I think even promo, Cena was better at promos. He was a bigger draw. He was a bigger star. He was on top longer. He was more of the guy than Orton was. Better feuds, better matches. Not even better matches. I know Orton's better in the ring. I could probably name you more Cena, like better Cena, great Cena matches than Orton matches, to be honest with you. That's a bold claim, but that might be true.
But I say this. heel Randy Orton promo is very underrated. I don't like Orton as a good guy. I don't.
I agree. No, he was a better heel, but I feel like we didn't get enough of that during his run, though, because I think you might be thinking like Legend Killer and even like late 08, 09, like Psycho Orton, but that was so short
Yeah.
lived, though. Like Cena was on top he was booked like to be fucking Super Cena for a reason. But we got great Cena character work and a lot of and again, and people love to boo him, and understandably so because of how he was booked. But especially as his career progressed, I'm not even talking earlier on in his main event run. I'm talking Cena 2011, 2012, 2013. Like, honestly, Cena got only better with time, especially when it came to the US Open stuff. His feud with AJ Styles was great. The Punk stuff spoke for itself. And even earlier on in his career, when he wasn't one of the best in the company, but he had the matches with JBL that were the second one specifically at Judgment Day was great. The Kurt Angle matches were great. Shawn Michaels, excellent matches. The Triple H matches, pretty good. So, I mean, the list goes on and on.
And I got Legend Killer. I got Evolution. I got Legacy. I got Rivalry with Edge and John Cena. Main event WrestleManias. I'm
Okay.
Grand Slam champion.
They're even. I mean,
The
close. I would
Viper,
still probably put Cena over Orton, but
Psycho Orton, kick you, punch you in the head. Orton, like Rumble winners.
A lot of that stuff was the same era though. A lot of that stuff was 2000s. Like we're talking like 04 Orton through like maybe 09. 2010 Orton was great too. 2011 was also really good. So I'm not saying he's had a bad run, but I just feel like Cena has a more consistent track record because Orton was out a lot with injuries, like a lot of the time.
Noob, don't forget 2010, the feud with the Nexus, which they should have won that shit. Not Team Cena, not John Cena. The Nexus should have won, but that's a different story for a different day, right, Grant?
Yeah, I mean, again, we can go down the board as far as who had the better year this year or that year. Like 2010 was Orton's year. Orton was white hot as a baby face. He was like they're stone cold at that point, or at least close to that as they could possibly get. And Cena had a terrible 2010. The stuff with the fucking Nexus was awful, and that pretty much dominated the year. Didn't have a lot of great stuff going on the year. I would give 2010 to Orton, but it depends on the year.
Is Orton John Cena's Randy Orton's greatest rival? Is that
Orton? His greatest rival would Cena's greatest rival is CM Punk
or Triple H, maybe?
Who, Orton? I can't say that Triple H is Orton's greatest rival because their matches, honestly, notoriously, were always kind of boring and never always consistently great. They had a lot of matches, but that doesn't mean they were great matches. I think Orton's best, honestly, opponent, his most prolific rival would probably be John Cena for the many, many, many matches they had. Some of those matches were good. Some of those matches were great. Some of those matches were just the same old shit. I think Orton's best rival, honestly, for as short as the feud was, it only lasted a few months, to me is Christian. I feel like those guys went in there and had some of the best matches of Orton's career in 2011. Edge wasn't really, I mean, yeah, they had some good matches in 2020. I'm trying to think of who else would be on Punk's list. I'm sorry, not on Punk's list, Orton's list of greatest rivals. Cena would probably be, I would make more of the case that Cena was Orton's greatest rival, but not that Orton was Cena's greatest rival. I would still put Punk and other people, even AJ Styles, over Orton with John Cena because they just had better matches and a better feud than him and Orton ever did.
I think before we move on, I think to me, when it comes to Cena, it's Randy Orton, it's Edge. The Punk, I just don't think it lasted that long for John Cena. John Cena. It's not Roman Reigns. It's not Brock. So it's like I'm thinking like they come up together. They parallel, but they cross. I think Orton, Edge, and Cena are all like this. They're all in each other's storylines. Like Edge could be Orton's greatest rival. John Cena could be Edge's greatest rival, and then Orton could be John Cena's greatest rival. So it's like they're all fucking intertwined with each other.
Yeah. I mean, you can make an argument for a lot of different people. So, I mean, I don't know if there's one clear-cut answer. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. What else we got, Graham? So okay, so Clash got 3 matches, maybe 2 more gets on the card. What other matches you think could get on it? Is Cody Rhodes going to defend the title at Clash? No, right?
No, I think so. I mean, AJ attacked him last week. We'll find
That's
that on
right.
SmackDown tonight. I would save that for Money in the Bank. I would not do that at the pay-per-view next week. And you could, and it's fine, but I don't really think it needs to because Clash is going to be headlined by Drew and Damian for the World Heavyweight Championship. A lot like Damian was not a king and queen of the ring. I don't know if you need Cody at Clash. They
Yeah,
probably will because he's the face of the company at this point.
that's right.
I don't think you need to, though. I think you can hold off on that. That probably will be added. You said 3 matches. I don't think Gable and Sammy's on the card. Is that one of the matches that you're including or no?
I see Clash has Sami Zayn and Chad Gable.
Oh, okay, you do. Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
What are the 3 matches? The World Heavyweight title match, that match, and what was the other one?
It had Bailey and Piper Niven.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. They'll probably add Bianca and Jade versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They attacked Bianca and Jade on Raw this week. They're from Scotland. That, to me, screams like a pre-show kickoff match.
Yeah.
So that's one right there.
And I did see something where I think we'll probably say the same thing. LA Knight and
I was literally about to say, I literally just saw that before hit record here. Meltzer had said this morning, last night, whatever, that LA Knight and Logan Paul might be penciled in for the pay-per-view. It's funny because I feel like I wanted that at Mania, and I feel like it's not that it's too late to do the match. They need to do the match, and they should do the match, and I want to see the match. But I feel like to do it at Clash feels almost early because they just had LA Knight say a week ago that he wants the championship. They had one backstage interaction. We have SmackDown tonight, SmackDown next week, and that's it before the pay-per-view. At the absolute earliest, I would do that match. You could do it next weekend. Listen, if LA Knight fucking wins, that's all that matters to me. We need to move on from this Logan Paul US stuff, US title stuff. But
no way. No way.
No way Logan Paul loses?
No.
Why?
Why
Logan, LA Knight's going to continue to lose every time
he has winning this title?
Why does LA Knight need to win this title?
No, why are you so hell-bent on LA Knight winning this title?
Because he's lost every title fucking opportunity that he's had so far. The guy needs to win something. He's not going to win the world championship anytime soon. He needs this belt. Logan Paul's also not a full-time guy. He had his run. Cute. It's lasted 7 months. We need to move on from this. He's had 2 title defenses in 7 months, which I was okay with 2 months ago. But you can't keep going forward with this guy as champion. Absolute latest SummerSlam. We can't keep the belt on this guy long-term. And if it's not LA Knight, I'm not even really sure who else it would be.
Like Noob said, should have been Logan, which I see. I'm down for that because it's in Cleveland, and Logan Paul is from Cleveland, right? My bugging?
LA Knight's not from Cleveland. Logan Paul is from Cleveland.
Yeah, Logan Paul. So I'm saying, like, if you're gonna drop the belt at SummerSlam, you drop it in the hometown because that's just what they do. So I'm down for this.
Okay,
but not at Clash. Not at Clash.
I thought you just said that you don't want LA Knight winning the championship.
I mean, you know me, I like the bad guys. I fuck with Logan Paul.
You want it? I think Logan Paul's great, but you can't be champion forever. The guy's not even around.
How long has he been champion for, Graham?
Since November.
Okay. That's not that since November for real?
Yes, he's been champion for 7 months, and he's had 2 title defenses in that time.
Well, he's a very busy guy. He got prom, you know what I'm saying?
Take that shit off of him, give it to LA Knight, and have him go do something else. He can come back and feud with Cody again. I don't give a shit. They don't need the belt on him at this point. Again, I'm good. Like, there's a timetable for everything.
Right.
If you said that in January, like, oh, we should lose to Logan, or Logan should lose to Kevin Owens, I said no. I would have said no. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. At Mania, I would have had him lose to LA Knight. He didn't face LA Knight, so I was fine with them retaining on that show. LA Knight's the guy. LA Knight needs the title. He's lost so many title opportunities. Jey Uso's in a very similar way. Jey Uso we've talked about. That guy also needs a belt at some point. He's lost so many goddamn matches when they matter most. He needs a big win eventually. I'm more on the train of LA Knight winning a belt before Jey, though, because LA Knight is just better, I think. I think LA Knight's more of a main event guy than Jey is. So he needs to beat Logan. If you want to save it till SummerSlam, that's fine. But they need to do it soon. If you have LA Knight lose to Logan at Clash and then build to a rematch at SummerSlam, that's fine. But ultimately, I think the title needs to go to LA Knight.
I think if LA Knight was a bad guy, I might like him more.
Okay, but I mean, he's really over right now to where you can't turn him. I think he is a better bad guy. He's an amazing bad guy. But they don't need bad guys on SmackDown. I mean, they kind of do, actually. Logan Paul or Cody needs opponents.
Yeah, he does.
But you can't turn Logan right now, or it can't turn Cody. Can't turn LA Knight right now.
That's right.
Can't turn LA Knight right now, because if you turn LA Knight, Let's say he
Mhm.
loses to Logan Paul, fails to win the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
He loses again, and then you turn him heel. He faces Cody. He's not beating Cody Rhodes. That's another loss. Like, the guy needs to win something, and the United States Championship to me is it.
Last point. Speaking of SummerSlam, I think we read before a rumor that Rhea Ripley may not be available for SummerSlam, and obviously, if we were fantasy booking this, we thought it was going to be her. Again, it's only June 7th, so we got time.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, we thought it was going to be Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam, but some rumors are saying Rhea may not be. She's trying to rehab. She's trying to stay away from surgery, according to your guy Meltzer. So we'll just see. We'll take it for what it is. So would it be disappointing if Rhea is not available at SummerSlam? And if that is the case, where did they go with Liv and this World Championship for SummerSlam?
Yeah, no, it would definitely be disappointing. Like you said, I feel like Rhea and Liv is the match that writes itself for that show. I don't know I honestly don't know what else you do for that show if it's not Rhea Ripley. You can bring Becky back and do a rematch on that show. Becky should not beat Liv at this current point,
No.
so I wouldn't do that necessarily. Her and Lyra is an option, but I don't know if I would do that right now. I mean, SummerSlam's 2 months away, but that doesn't really feel like a SummerSlam match to me. I don't really know what you do, honestly. They could always hold off Liv from that show. She doesn't have to defend at SummerSlam. The Women's World Championship was not defended at SummerSlam last year. They held off on Rhea and Raquel until the subsequent pay-per-view. They could wait until Rhea. She could be back by Bash in Berlin, which is at the end of August, maybe the September show, whatever that's going to end up being. So it would be disappointing if she's not back by then. He's just going off of speculation, maybe shit that he's heard. Meltzer's very hit or miss. I still think there's a pretty decent chance she could be back then, a lot like CM Punk, who I also think could be cleared by that show. Not guaranteed, but it looks a lot more likely than Clash or whatever, or Money in the Bank.
Right. I mean, they could run an angle where Rhea appears at SummerSlam, but doesn't, get in a match. Because it's very interesting. Because my last question would be, what are they gonna do with Dom going forward? Because he's in this thing with Liv and Rhea and the Judgment Day. I think he's caught in the middle of, like, where does he go? And I don't know if he's hurt or whatever. He hasn't wrestled as much, but I'm a fan of Dom. But going into the fall, even summertime, what is there for Dom to do?
I don't know. I've seen people speculate. I don't think he's going to be cleared by then. I've seen people say maybe he could be the modern day, like, Edge and Lita with Dom and Liv. I don't really love that idea.
So he's hurt, legit.
I mean, he had Tommy John surgery a couple months ago, and
okay.
I think the original rumor at the time, the report was that he would be out from 6 to 8 weeks. And listen, I'm not a big baseball guy. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out for a lot longer than that. He's already been out for 2 months as it is.
If it's Tommy John, he's out for.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I heard Tommy John, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like that's a quick recovery turnaround time. And he's still on the show. As far as what you do with him, you can have him just reunite with Rhea when she comes back, and do it as baby faces. I think he could just go off on his own and do his own thing. We talked about it already, but I think you can keep Judgment Day as their own thing without Rhea and without Damian. It would not be the same. It would probably not last long, but he could stick around with them until they kind of figure out what to do with him next. And I think he's a solid mid-card guy. He's improved a lot. He gets great heat still. So, and I think he can have a presence on the show even while injured. So I'm pretty confident that regardless of where the Liv thing goes, and I don't really need to see them as an on-air couple for more than a couple weeks if that's the direction they go in, that doesn't need to be a permanent pairing. I have enough faith that he'll be perfectly fine on his own or with whatever they end up doing with him post Judgment Day.
Legit, my last question. I did forget. We spoke off the air about MJF coming back to AEW, and maybe how serious it could have been if he would have left. To me, I would say MJF is an AEW guy. Could he leave one day? Yeah, sure. But right now, I didn't see him potentially leaving. And I know he came back at the whole Triple H get up, but like from what you've seen or heard or whatever, like, was it ever in doubt that MJF won't go back to AEW?
Not in the last 2 years. I mean, maybe when he initially had that fit like 2 years ago around Double or Nothing and threatened to not work the show against Wardlow. Other than that, I don't really think there was ever a doubt that he was coming back to AEW and that he would resign, dating back to his, probably as far back as a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because he kind of winded down the whole bidding war of 2024 thing that really dominated his character for a long time. He stopped talking about that. And then AEW, I don't want to say they gave him everything that he wanted and that's why he stayed. Cody Rhodes, we still don't know the exact reason why he left AEW, but I thought it was very shocking when he left because he was an EVP. Like I'm sure he had a very comfortable spot. He was an executive. He probably was in charge of a lot of his own storylines, could really do whatever the fuck he wanted. Had his own reality show for a little while. And then he left to go back to WWE, which was a real risk. Like he's the guy now, but I mean, it was not a guarantee that he was going to be as successful as he is currently. It obviously paid off, which is great. With MJF, he could have taken a risk, and obviously he would have been very successful, I think, in WWE in the current climate, especially without Vince McMahon being there. But I think him staying in AEW was pretty much the safe bet. He's the top guy there. He's their homegrown star. I'm sure Tony paid a lot of money to keep him. He can still go off and do other stuff, other projects if he wants, do movies. He was in Iron Claw for like 10 seconds, but that could lead to him doing more movie stuff down the road.
Mm-hmm.
He's still very young. He probably knows that too. He knows. You said maybe. I can guarantee you, I would be shocked if he didn't, unless there was some sort of incident that caused them to be canceled or whatever. I think it's inevitable that MJF goes to WWE. Not anytime soon, but I think he will be back. Not back. I think he will be there for the first time at some point down the road.
Mm-hmm.
He's young enough to like Will Ospreay is in the same situation. If Ospreay never goes to WWE, that would be a bummer, but whatever. MJF was like, I know he would have to tone down his shtick a little bit. He was made for WWE. He grew up watching it. They may not want to say it. He knows that he wants to go there. Now's not the right time. Doesn't make sense to. They already have enough stars as they do. WWE does. They don't need MJF. MJF doesn't need to go there. He will be there someday. He's young enough to where he can re-sign to the AEW for another 5 years, make a shit ton of money, and then go to WWE when his stock is still at an all-time high 5 or so years from now. So I think he made the right call, and ultimately.
Real quick, Noob, the Royal Women's division has doesn't have enough star power. Becky Lynch is out, Rhea is out, and the biggest casualty is Asuka, and she's going to have knee surgery. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy right now, Graham.
Yeah, they have a lot of injuries on that Raw Women's division right now. It's not looking great. They have a lot of women, not a lot of women that are over, and that's part of the problem.
I would say this. If there's anybody from AEW who I would like to see leave and go over, MGF is one of them. That is homegrown AEW to leave. Probably Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega would be awesome. I think we missed that window just because he's older now. A lot of injuries, a lot of mileage on that body. So probably not, realistically speaking. But I think had he not re-signed in 2022, him in WWE, as soon as Triple H took over, would have been fucking awesome, I think. I think he could have gotten an AJ Styles-esque push coming in. I think that's out of the cards now, but that would have been cool. For me, it's Ricky Starks. I feel like he has a lot to offer to WWE. AEW ain't doing shit with them. So I feel like he could do really well there. Wardlow's another guy that needs to get the fuck out as soon as his contract comes due. I don't know if he would be a success in WWE, but I think he has a higher ceiling there than he currently does in AEW. I mean, familiar faces, but Aleister Black, Malachi Black, he just lost Adam Copeland to Double or Nothing. He might not, I don't want to say he's cooked because he's still great, but like his stock kind of peaked a while ago as far as his booking and shit. At this point, I don't know if damaged goods is the right word, but I would like to see him back in WWE. His wife works there anyway, whatever. There's a couple other people. Miro, I feel like I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Rusev. There's a few other people. Powerhouse Hobbs is another one I feel like would do well in WWE too. But those are the main ones I would like to see jump ship at some point.
Did you know today's the anniversary of King of the Ring, 1997?
I did not know that.
And Shawn Michaels.
I did not.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Way better match than it was in WrestleMania 14. Yeah.
I've seen the match. It is a much better match than the Mania match, yeah.
I can't speak for that card in totality, but
a lot of those cards aren't great. Yeah, a lot of those King of the Ring cards are pretty ass.
And they were tag team champions, by the way.
They were, yes. Going into that match, they were. Yeah.
Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, Fan-Sided DDT. Find them on Twitter, Wrestle Rant. Find myself on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter J C R U Z. Again, find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. Subscribe, youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. So Clash is Saturday. We'll probably maybe next Thursday or Friday. Could be a little crazy for me, but maybe the earlier the better. We can knock something out, and then we'll go on the following week to review Clash and all that good stuff.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it, brother.
All right, G, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Adios.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too.
All right.